Star Citizen has now officially crowdfunded over $500 million from its backers, and there are a whole host of mostly copy-paste articles that I've seen appear online that largely share the same gist. That is, Star Citizen has raised over $500 million, but there is no release in sight. Actually, to be fair, the articles are surprisingly accurate, most of them, from what I've seen. They're stating facts of the game's development, funding, and current playability. The reason I mention that is because media over the last year and a half has really softened towards Star Citizen and Squadron 42. There's a lot less in the way of hit pieces, and the game is covered significantly more fairly. Star Citizen officially hit that $500 million mark on the 20th of September 2022. However, it's worth knowing some stuff about the project and its funding, because it actually is a lot more than that overall. So, there are other income, there are other funding sources that aren't part of that $500 million figure. There's private investment of $63.25 million from the Cowders, who invested in 2 rounds, one of $46 million and the other of $17.25 million. There is also subscription money that doesn't seem to be counted in that figure. So over the length of the project, roughly, that looks to me to have hit around $32 million based on Cloud Imperium's financials shared at the end of 2021. Other income, incentives, and sponsorships, again, not included, it appears. They've probably hit around $55 million over the length of the project based on those same figures. There are refunds that have been given out, but it looks like those refunds have probably already been taken into account on the funding tracker, because money has vanished from the funding tracker before, and that's assumedly where refunds have been given. But I would expect refunds to be less than 0.5%. Please feel free to debate me on that and tell me in the comments below if you disagree with that rough estimate, and that's all it is. So overall, roughly, Star Citizen and Squadron 42 has raised over, in my estimate, well over $667 million so far. And I think it's easily going to hit $1 billion in funding during its development and before the actual main Star Citizen sort of portion of the game goes to release. It could hit that around the release of Squadron 42, though, as you can expect the sales of Squadron 42 and interest in Star Citizen to rocket around the time they actually release a full finished product. There are over 4 million player accounts that have been made for Star Citizen so far. Many players do have a second or multiple accounts, but there's probably at least 3 million unique accounts there, with a huge portion of them either trying the game out during a free fly, buying something, or playing Star Citizen right now. It's also worth mentioning that Star Citizen is about to have CitizenCon and the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo in October and November respectively, and these events are hugely profitable for Cloud Imperium, with last year's raising over $21.5 million in November alone, and Star Citizen is on its way to making this year of 2022 a record-breaking year, raising the most money they ever have. So expect them to blast that figure out of the park. You can expect Star Citizen to have raised over $700 million from all sources by the end of the year. Now, this is a staggering amount of money, and Star Citizen has been in development for 10 years. They do run a live product, so Star Citizen Alpha, it's playable, and it has major updates multiple times a year, as well as various events throughout. And it's not just one game. They are developing 2 games. Squadron 42 is that single-player campaign set in the same universe as Star Citizen, the MMO, and they are connected. But, markedly, Squadron 42 is set before the current year in Star Citizen. Squadron 42 is where most of that development focus is, but there are no release dates for either game. With Squadron, it could be 1 year, it could be 2, before it's actually out the door. The scope of Star Citizen certainly has grown, as has its funding. Originally planned to be much smaller as a sort of spaceship combat multiplayer and single-player campaign game, something closer to a Wing Commander, and then Freelancer with a bit of a multiplayer and Elite Dangerous all sort of merged together. But now it's become this sort of incredibly high-fidelity MMO space life simulator with Star Citizen and a massive AAA single-player game, Squadron 42, packed full of celebrities. So how are Cloud Imperium using that money? How have they been using it? Well, they are massively expanding out their studios, and they have been over the last year. So they've got an office with plans for over 1,000 staff in the UK. They're basically over doubling the amount of staff and developers they've got on the project. They've signed a 10-year lease for that new studio as well, and they want to fill it with those new staff over the next 4 years. However, the studio is currently being built, and I'm not sure if Cloud Imperium are going to get in there before Q2, Q3 of 2023 at the moment. That's my sort of estimate based on what we've seen from that building and the state of it. But they're also expanding out in Montreal, their Turbulent studio, Frankfurt, and looking to expand in Austin too. This is obviously motivated by the massive amount of funding that Cloud Imperium have and a long-term plan for both games' developments and support of those games once they're released. But Cloud Imperium does suffer from a slow development cycle. I think we can see that. It's been 10 years. It's getting there, but it's still going to be a while. Tens of thousands of players enjoy Star Citizen in its alpha now and play it incredibly regularly some. There is a huge amount to do, and there's a big update just around the corner. Star Citizen Alpha 3.18 is expected to go to Eva Carty, the early testing phase, which is focusing on persistent entity streaming testing, at some point next week. And GameStar.de seem to have jumped the gun and reported that that patch is going to be released to live at the end of September 30th, but I think that's just a mistake. Cloud Imperium have said that they plan to release that 3.18 patch to live for everyone mid-November time for the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, a massive sail and free fly event that they do every year. Star Citizen is plowing forward with its development, major events, milestone tech, and a whole host more coming in Q4 of this year, and I am very much excited for that. Playing Star Citizen now can be a cross between a fantastic experience and something incredibly frustrating, based on if you encounter bugs or if you get sort of stopped or prevented in doing the gameplay you want and then have to fiddle around moving between landing zones, getting in public transport, bugs preventing you from getting to where you want to go, or completing exactly what you're trying to do at any given time. Events like the Siege of Orison and Xenothreat, they've been absolutely fantastic to play, even though sometimes they are also full of bugs. But I'd love to know what you think of Star Citizen as a game experience at the moment in the comments below. A few other things that are happening this week. Thursday, we've got Inside Star Citizen, where they're going to see sort of localization team and have a Siege of Orison review. I'm not sure if that's going to be super tangible with new development information. We'll check it out for sure though. Friday, we've got a Star Citizen Live with a Q&A with the AI team. That's going to be exciting for me because AI is making huge leaps and bounds at the moment. It's one of the sort of areas of Star Citizen and Squadron 42 that need the most support and sort of development, but recently it's really been coming together with that. Something else to look forward to is on the 8th of October. That's only 2.5 weeks away at time of recording. That's CitizenCon. This year, it's going to be an all-day live-streamed event with big, juicy panels throughout the day, focusing on a huge amount of development information from Star Citizen's tech, features, new ships, and the sort of journey to Star Citizen Alpha 4.0. But what do you think? Do you think Star Citizen will hit around $1 billion about when Squadron 42 Episode 1 releases? And actually, that's a good point. There's another 2 AAA games planned after Squadron 42 Episode 1, Episode 2, and Episode 3, which are their own sort of additional games. It's not sort of like a splitting up of what Squadron 42 was originally supposed to be. They went, actually, we want to expand the story out. We want more games. So Cloud Imperium will be working on those after Squadron 42 Episode 1 is released. But is $1 billion too much money? Is the $700 billion that they sort of might have by the end of the year far too much money? Do you mind the incredibly long development cycle of the game, or do you not mind because you can play it now even though it's in alpha? Do you want some specific gameplay to come into the game ASAP to make the game more fun? And if so, what is it? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. You know something that I shield for? It's Tobii Eye Tracker 5. It's natively supported in Star Citizen, and you can use your eyes for more precise and immersive control. It's supported by a load of other games as well. It's actually pretty cool. Check out my links below if you're interested in seeing more, and also use the code BoredGamer to get a discount. I'm Nord Catcham, and it's my mission to become a Nord Master. Oh no, it's Team Hacksaw. Hacksaw uses trackers and blocks your ability to go on websites like Netflix and watch the content that you want to on Netflix? ? Go Nordichu! Nordichu uses nordvpn.com/boredgamer. It is super effective. He beats Team Hacksaws and he becomes a NordVPN master, a Nordimon master.
Fortunately, with NordVPN, you don't need to catch them all. You just need to get a subscription from nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. Links below.
Every month we have a ship giveaway, and for September, we're giving away 3 ships, 1 each, to 3 different lucky winners. The Origin 100I, the 125A, and the 135C. Any of these solid starter ships will allow you just to jump in to Star Citizen and play right away. All you need to do is comment on any of my videos made during the month to be in for a chance of winning one of those. More details in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to further support the channel, consider using the join button under my videos or becoming a Patreon. Either way, you'll get access to some exclusive content and have more of a voice in shaping the channel. A huge thank you to anyone that already does that. You are amazing. I love you. Zin also is contractually obliged to love you. There is a link for donations and all that jazz in the description below as well if that is your preferred medium. It is super appreciated, genuinely. Once again, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.